I picked, do these local athletic programs, the money they bring in, does it actually affect the local economies? So over the years, been lots of debates. There's been plenty of studies trying to prove whether or not it actually does affect it. On for pros, people always say, yeah, it brings in business, it helps sustain growth, it helps keep these food, restaurants, all these things thriving. While others say this money that's coming in does not actually connect back into the economy unless it's at such a great size. So as I delve into this, I noticed they said there's a study done and talked about how over $14 billion a year is generated from sports across the country. That's a rough estimate. It's actually a little bit more than 14 billion, so that is a lot of money. Um, and so a study that was done by Holy Cross, they went back and rechecked a lot of these previous studies to see how they did it. And what they did, they targeted smaller schools. They looked at these schools that were like the stadiums were less than 70,000 people, which is still a pretty good sized stadium. But for lots of programs, that's actually not that big. Um, and the one shocking thing they came to the conclusion of was that if a program generated more than $40 million a year, that marginally they saw massive impacts in the economy. And so what I was going to look at today was U of L and UK. That's what I talked about in my paper. Now, U of L's basketball program and their whole sports in general, the wealthiest in the whole country, they generate lots and lots of money. Their basketball team is worth $39.5 million. That's from 2014, and they only make more money every year. So honestly, their basketball program can pretty much supplement that on its own. Now UK, their basketball program is worth 20.8 million, and the football team's worth 27.6. The two highest growth earnings. So with those two, they could also pass the 40 million. So based on the John Hopkins study, what they would do is it would supplement enough of the economy back in to like Lexington or Louisville because hotels would start to arrive and they would create jobs. Also, food and restaurants will need more servers, they'll need more cooks, they'll need more bartenders. All those things would culminate in the end to show where it directly impacts the economy. Also, it talks about how out of state students actually as well really help impact the economy. So a big thing like for basketball is one thing I really targeted here. We're a big basketball state. Um, Whenever you look at the hotbeds for basketball recruiting, it's lots of places like Chicago, New York. You have your Floridas, kind of Texas. These are all out-of-state students. So what it does, of course, these are student athletes, so they're not going to contribute back into the economy as much as regular students. But whenever these big name stars come to schools like U of L and UK, they also bring attention and other people from out of state will flock in. So a big thing was UK, they are up to 38% of their total school population is out of state students. And this is just from where basketball has taken off. Last year, 38 in one season, they actually had a 64% increase in their out of state tuition. Now Louisville's a little smaller, than only 15%, but it still has really helped generate money in Louisville as having all these workers come in and things like that. And then another thing they talked about was how much people have spent like in Louisville. I focused on the Yum Center on this one. They said since it's been opened, they believe $346.5 million has been spent in downtown Louisville. Now, of course, this isn't just directly for U of L, but U of L was very much driving force behind the Yum Center. They really pushed for it. They wanted a new high-tech arena for their basketball team. Their basketball team is a very perennial powerhouse almost every year. So they really pushed for it, and granted, it cost about $348 million to build, but since then they've pretty much already generated the money back. So you can already see where it's come back full circle. Now, a big problem though is, and there's another thing I focus more on the Yum Center in Louisville, so that's where I live currently. Um, they're having some problems with their bonds. And this is where we talked about should cities pay for it or should, like, for professional teams, should owners pay for it? Well, of course, you can't really make a college pay for the whole project. So they actually did it completely publicly. That's where it cost them $346.5 million to build the Yum Center. Um, Biggest thing is now their bond ratings have dropped because they went public. And actually, an economist from UK said that the demand for the basketball arena and the demand that people wanted to attract more attention to downtown could have been supplemented through the private sector. He said that the demand would have been there and the private sector would have stepped in. So now the problem is you have S&P and Moody's, are the two largest agencies that rank bonds, now have made the Yum Center bonds junk, and it's actually coming back to hurt the U of L economy. So that's actually interesting how it generates so much money, but the Yum Center can't break even. They had actually made no profits on any concerts, presentations, anything like that that's actually happened at the Yum Center. So that's actually a really interesting thing that's happened so far. So I do believe that the college programs do give back to the economy because people coming from out of town to watch, people spend a lot of money on the merchandise. They go out after the games, they go to bars, they go to restaurants, they go there before the games. It really, I think, builds up the whole economy of U of L, like Louisville and Lexington. Now, I said Yum Center's been kind of an iffy one, but I believe in the long run, the businesses will begin to thrive as the private sector starts to take over from the public sector to cover the bonds. So, thank you for listening, and you guys have a good day.